Hey guys, Corey here from skysthelimitcarcare, and today I'm going to talk about drying towels and specifically the Microfiber Madness WaveRider. So the WaveRider towel is Microfiber Madness's take on a waffle weave drying towel. I'd say most recently you've heard about twisted loop fibers. That's probably the biggest fad in drying towels now. But before twisted loop towels came plushy drying towels, and before that, what's covered the market for as long as I can remember is the waffle weave design. The reason they call it a waffle weave is because, as you can see, it looks like a waffle. The pattern, the little squares there, looks like a waffle. Before that, there was actually the chamois, and we could keep going back further. But the reason we don't offer the chamois drying towel, we get questions about this sometimes, but the chamois is a much thinner fiber and a much thinner towel, and while it is very absorbent, which is one of the important things in a drying towel, it's not thick and won't accept a little piece of sand getting caught between it and the surface without scratching the paint. So we're a big no on chamois, and that's where we end up with the WaveRider. The WaveRider, the waffle weave, this one in particular, the one from Microfiber Madness, it's 530 GSM, so it's thicker than even most waffle weave towels out there. So if you get a little piece of sand in there, it's going to get caught in one of those squares, and it's going to be hidden, not up on top of the paint and getting dragged across the paint. So you're much less likely to drag that piece of sand. Obviously, we try to avoid ever having a piece of sand between your towel and your paint, but if it happens, you don't want it to get dragged across the entire car and put swirls in it. So, okay, we've got the waffle weave. We're going to briefly touch on the plushy drying fabric for the Dry Me Crazy, and then the twisted loop towels, and then we'll talk about what makes these different in practical use. So as far as from a design function, obviously this is a thicker towel. This one's 1200 GSM, whereas this one was 530 GSM. This one over here is 1000 GSM. So these two are roughly, this one's almost twice as thick as this, or twice as heavy in fiber, and then this one is a little more than twice as heavy. What does that mean? Well, if I was to dunk this in a bucket, this one is obviously going to soak up the most water, but that's not necessarily what's most important to you when you're drying a car. It looks really cool on a video when you're able to put a towel in a bucket and soak all the water out of it, but that's not the purpose of you having a drying towel for your car. It's how are you going to get all the water off of your paint without leaving any dots, without leaving any streaks. That's the most important thing. Streakless, not causing scratches, and soft enough to where the towel itself is not causing scratches either. With the twisted loop fiber, this is the most absorbent of the three fibers, whereas the waffle weave is probably the second most absorbent, but the waffle is softer than the twisted loop. The softest fiber of all three would be this one, but again, this is not quite as absorbent as this or the twisted loop. That's why Microfiber Madness actually instituted the DMC fibers in with their twisted loop design. A lot of towels out there that use twisted loop you'll find are just totally twisted loop, and it works great. The twisted loop, like I said, is fantastic. People love that for absorbency, but this one you're going to have these softer fibers that are a little longer, taller, thicker, plushier, and so when those twisted loop fibers go across the paint, they're able to pull those beads of water off, while the thicker, plushier fiber is keeping them raised so they're not rubbing real hard against your paint if you have super soft paint. Having said all of that, why would you get the WaveRider towel over the Chipmunk or the Dry Me Crazy? Well, the WaveRider towel is a tried and true, lasts forever. I've had mine for over 10 years now. One of the ones in my garage still works great. And that actually brings me to one of the most important things when it comes to drying towels, and that is how you care for them. When it comes to the care for your drying towels, it's a lot like the care for all your other microfiber towels with a few special points. First, we're going to talk about microfiber towels in general. These rules apply to caring for your drying towels, but they also apply to all your microfiber towels. Number one, you want to use a microfiber specific detergent or a free and clear detergent. It doesn't have to be CarPro MFX. There's a lot of good microfiber detergents out there. If you already have one, that's fine. But what you don't want to use is just a regular detergent, a powdered detergent that has a scent to it and some type of fabric softener, stuff like that. All those kind of things are going to mess up the fibers. If you look at the technology of microfiber, it's really kind of miraculous how it works and how absorbent it is. And if you unravel one of these little fibers, it'll blow your mind how much absorbency it has to it. But as soon as you start using the wrong type of soap, you're going to clog up all of that and make it so that it doesn't work anymore. So use a microfiber specific detergent. That's the most important thing. Number two, one of the portion of the synthetic towel, the microfiber towel, is almost like a plastic. It's a type of plastic, and so if you heat this up too much, it'll melt it. You cannot put this in the dryer on high heat. So if you're going to dry it in the dryer, dry it on low heat. That is very important. Number two. Number three, with this one is going to be to drying towels specifically. Drying towels you do not want to mix with your wax towels, your polished towels, because you don't want to put any abrasives in them. And even though those should wash out in the wash, there's just no reason to mix them with those polishing towels. You definitely don't want to mix them with your coating sealant wax towels, spray wax towels, anything that has protection in it. You want to keep that as far away from your drying towel as you can. So, and that's because you want to keep it absorbent. The only towel that you might throw in your load with your drying towels might be a glass towel, because that has the same points. You know, glass towel, you want to keep it super clean. You don't want to have those wax around it. So that's one load. That pretty much sums up how you want to best take care of your drying towels. The only controversial thing that I would say is drying aids. A lot of people like to use drying aids. They spray a little lubricant, some type of quick detailer, or something like that on the paint before they wipe it with their drying towel. I'm not a big fan of that. I just like to use a really high quality drying towel from Microfiber Madness. It's edgeless, doesn't really need a lubricant. But for people that do, just note that some of the drying aids out there are going to reduce the absorbency of your drying towel over time. I'd say that pretty much sums up everything that I wanted to go over today. I really appreciate you guys watching today. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those below. You know how to reach out to us. We've got the email and the phone number below. If you haven't subscribed previously, please be sure to do so. That helps us make more great content for you. And we look forward to seeing you next time.